other types of, we have the Lernsteiger, Ma nishtana halayla hazeh, how you and I learned Ma nishtana, not the Israeli version. Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halelot, which is the same. There really is a melody for learning Talmud. There is the Lernsteiger, okay, there is a melody for learning. And then there's another one that's very famous, Mishaberach Mod. Mishaberach Avatei Abraham Yitzhak Yaakov. Okay, it goes beneath the tonic. It goes down and goes up again. Hu Yivarech et Kol HaKahagish Zeim Kehut HaKodesh. Goes down and up again. That's known in musicology as Ukrainian Dorian.
Really?
Yes. Okay.
Why? Because it came from more of a
it's like it's
non-Jewish source?
also probably most likely it's known also as the gypsy mode. Now you in Chabad, I know you make a big emphasis hoppin' and niggin, okay? In musicology they call it contrafaction, okay? Hoppin' and niggin is taking like the French national anthem and making it into a Lubavitch Niggin, right? Okay.
Right.
Okay. So it happened throughout Poland and Germany, and it was really ubiquitous. So the Mi Sinai tunes, Skabata, in conjunction with the modes, some of those modes, and there are other modes. Okay, I'm just making the highlights. So those the motifs, they actually were so important that they kept the Jews together throughout the diaspora. That so much so that some Jews who were persecuted, especially in the Alsace-Lorraine, and the Mayans worms inspired the German communities of Ashkenaz in the 11th, 12th century. Many who survived, they survived with these melodies on their lips. This is why Aleinu, in the rhyme, this is why Aleinu became so popular with its melody in Kol Nidre, and Kol Nidre is also under persecution in Spain, of course. The Spanish Jews felt forced to convert, and they felt that some became anusim in Hebrew, what we call Moranos, which is really derogatory term. I don't like it, but nonetheless, there were Spanish Jews throughout the centuries. So, and they survived on these melodies, on a song, but not just any melodies. These melodies passed through the Second Temple period, through the medieval ages, and on to.
Do you think the Kol Nidre is from the Spanish Inquisition, or just
the text? Well, it's interesting. The text could have been from the time of the Spanish Inquisition, but because it's basically Hatarat Nadarim. It's really the nullification of vows, which we do in Erev Yom and Rosh Hashanah. But it's another form of it. As a matter of fact, B'diavad, if a woman wasn't able to nullify her vow, she could be Yotzet. She could be fulfill it on Yom Kippur, because it's the melody of it, it seeps through the heart of the Jewish people. It's very Kol nidre v'sarre v'charame chone v'chinuye v'kinusei u'shevut, like that.
Yeah.
And so, do you know?
It sounds like a very ancient tune.
Yeah, when you think about it, yes. But and all this time, now at the same time as the music was developing, there was the piyutim. Okay. Now we have two parts here. We have in the time of the Second Temple, the Anshe Knesset Gedola, the men of the Great Assembly established many things. One of the things they established was the matbea, the coin, the fixed protocol for the Amidah, for the silent prayer of standing. That was one of the things. They did many things, and they also. I'm trying to. We can skip some of this, but it's really hard because there's so much information. But just like there was the statutory prayer, a prayer that was fixed, there were also more spontaneous prayer. This is the beginning of the Piyutim, the Pizmonim, and there were three greats in that. You may have heard the names: Yossi ben Yossi, Yanai, and the last one, Eliezer Kalir, who actually in today's modern Machzor prayer book for the holidays, penned many of those. And this was developed at the same time. And this is also how the Chazan developed, because Chazan, in addition to doing everything else, he was a kolbonik. He did a lot of different things. You know, the Rav would paskin the shilas, would determine the halacha, the Jewish law, but often the Cantor, the Chazan, was the one who dealt with a lot of the day-to-day, like Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron Cohen, like Moses and Aaron, like, you know, Moses and Aaron. So he would deal with the day-to-day meanderings and tsaris and, you know, just and everything
The
the Jewish people. Yes, so that developed, and like the first Sidurim reflected these Pizmonim, Seder Sajin Gaon, Machzor Vitri. I'm throwing out names. I'm trying to whet a taste for. Okay, and the Chazan would have many, and also the Chazan would have a few people accompanying singing. Okay, we call them in Yiddish zingerols. Okay, he would have a higher tenor part, shall we say, and you have a lower bass part, and they would accompany. That was the beginning of the choirs, and they would accompany the Chazan. Then Chazanim would travel. Cantors would travel from place to place in East or West Europe, and then give a little. They like the same way that rabbis might travel and give a Dvar Torah, a word of Torah. The Chazan, the Cantor might also travel and give. Okay, so I want to actually give a little sound clip. I'm not sure how well it will sound. Okay, so this became so important for Jewish music that Rav Yaakov Molin, otherwise known as the Maharil, not to be confused with the Maharal, the Maharil said that minhag hamakom, local customs, are sacred, and you know, even after the temple, local customs of now, do we have local customs today? This is another question, but local customs, certainly in the times of the 17th, 18th, 19th century, local customs have to be preserved in terms of what the melodies are, whether they're universal or whether they're particular. And so the Maharil established that. And in that light, I move on to something you may not have heard of. You see the beginning of religious music composing. And I'm really focusing mostly on the religious music, on the Jewish music, religious aspect. There's a whole other secular aspect that I'm not sure we'll have to get time to get into. But anyhow, one of the famous composers of the 16th century, he had a rabbi supporting him. The rabbi was Rabbi Leono de Medina, which is in Italy. And with the help of Salman Rossi, who was the Chazan there, he gathered 3 to 8 voices, and one of his magnum opus, his main works was Hashirim Asher Shmo. I want to play something very short, though. Hashirim Asher Shlomo is a play on the words Shir Hashirim, Song of Songs. Instead of Solomon's song, it's a Salman Rossi song. So it's a little play on the word. Okay. But when you hear this, it's not what you necessarily think of Jewish music. Okay. Like I said, the chants and stuff. You're going to hear something known as polyphony, which is multi voices overlapping at the same time, in an organized fashion, not just a cacophony. Okay. So let's see here. I hope this play is okay in your mic. Okay, So
This was modern music, are you saying?
of the 16th century, yes. Okay, what happened and a lot of this parallels what happened, of course, in secular music history. Okay, there was a time when you had different voices overlapping, known as polyphony, and then you had a time when there were more voices in a row. Which there's another example. This is like a few centuries later, Solomon Zolzer, another Solomon. This is something you may recognize the tune. You'd be surprised how many popular tunes are actually based on cantorial pieces. This is like art music. Actually, both these are art music, which means not folk, not just drunken people.
But nowadays people are not into cantorial music, unfortunately. It used to be when I was young, and
Yes.
there would be, every synagogue had a big cantor.
Right, but you find a trend that many, like Reb Shlomo Karlibach, which we have, my shul, my synagogue has a lot of his melodies, and we work that into. People want to hear stuff that's more shayach, more relevant to their tastes and to what they may hear out in the world, either on the secular or just it could be originally composed, but the style. So in those eras, like 500 and 600 years ago, this was the style of a lot of secular music. So and lahavdil, to make a distinction, church music. Okay, but so people want to hear music. There's a flexibility there, obviously, but things like Ki Mitzion Tetze Torah, Ki Mitzion Tetze is really an art piece. Is really an art piece. People, or Tzadikat Amar Yifrach. It's Erez Babano. It's really popular melodies, even 30 years ago. Really, a lot of it is based in art songs, and today, so as it was, so it continues. And so, I mean, if I want to get a few points across, then maybe I'll have time to sing a little something before I go. A few points I want to get: that Jewish music is eclectic. We pull some from here, some from there, and it depends upon obviously the time period and the surrounding nations, the status of world Jewry. But just like Jewish history, I mean, Jewish music is a reflection of Jewish history. There are the different times of ups and downs, of smachot, of happiness and persecution, and that's reflected in the prayers as well. And but going throughout it all were these kernels, the Skarbava, the Sinai tunes, and the certain modes. And I hope that your viewers, when they walk into the synagogue, wherever it may be, whatever it may be, on the high holidays, they listen for some of this. And if you have a good ear, you might actually pick up on this kind of stuff, and you can hear you might hear some of this. I hope I'm helping your viewers to have a sensitivity for that. Now, now I could sing a little something.
All right, that's good.
Okay, and I wasn't sure how the acoustics would be here, but now I see the studio. I feel pretty confident that it's okay. So. Should I stand up? And then I won't be able to, I'll get
you won't see it.
Exactly, okay. O netane tokev kirushat hayom ki hu nora v'ayom uvo tinase malchutecha v'yikom b'chesed kisecha v'teshev alav be'emet be'emet כי אתה הוא דיין מוכיח, ויודע ועד, וחוטא וחותם, וסופר ומונה, ותזכור כל הנשכחות, ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות, מעולב יקרא, וחותם ירא כל אדם בו. Now you see, it is dry here.
We got a lot of light shining on too.
Exactly. And then, of course, this is from the famous Unatana Tokev of the prayer in the Musav, which has, of course, a whole story behind it, which we're not going to get into for lack of time, but you can read it in your Machzor when you listen to it. And, of course, Berosh Hashanah yikatevun, u'bayom Tzom Kippur yikatemun. I'm just going to skip. Okay. Mi shalev u'mi yaser, mi anim yashir, mi shaper mi yarum. Okay, so there are different parts, just like, let's compare a little bit to the style of opera. You have an opera where you have recitative, you have parts that are just chanted, and then you have arias, okay, in Italian opera where parts are sung. So in a similar way, there's chazanut, there's parts where the chazan solo goes off on something a tangent, or also basic building blocks of nusach, nusach atila, which is the building blocks, the prayer modes which we talked about, implemented into the text. And then there are arias, like it used to be arias in an opera, but you may have a song like Rosh Hashanah Yikatevun, or popular melodies interspersed, and you have that shagliataria, that give and take, as it says in Talmud, of the give and take between the tension between the solo parts and between, or sometimes there's a choir, which the choir may be a medium to act as a go-between to help the congregation and also help the chazan. So anyway, that's that's
more.
History. There's always more, right? I mean, there's a whole secular Jewish music tradition of women singing lullabies to their kids, and some work their ways into this mirot, into the Sabbath hymns we sing at our table.
Sometimes they're not so secular. I mean, there's some holy.
The text. What happens often, similar to Chaping Anigan, there's a holy text. Has kedusha, and the melody may be composed. It may be pulled, contrafacted from another source. It may be original tune. It may be a combination of those things, and this is kind of how things work. And then, of course, there's the Israeli influence, and there's a lot there's a lot to say, but I guess we'll have to leave it another time. Maybe you'll have me back. I hope I didn't bore anybody. I hope you found it as
very
interesting as I did.
Well, I want to think it because people just don't know. They know maybe even if they know modern music, like you say Hava, Nagila, Hava, but there's this cantorial music that really goes back sometimes thousands of years back, or like you say, 16th century, 500 years back.
At least.
And, it's important to understand where the music comes from.
And I think it's important to make the connection for your viewers between these ancient melodies and what you may hear now. And and when you go to the synagogue, keep an ear out. Instead of keep an eye out, keep an ear out for some of these themes. And I hope that will make the High Holidays meaningful for you all.
All right, thank you very much, Chaz and Cantor, Michael Cohen, and only good things, and keep on singing to the Mashiach.
Thank you.